Using police helicopter cover-ups for November 3rd. The Cessna, or the police Cessna copter, was around the entire day, but in the morning it was around a lot, and then at 10:21, across the street from me, slightly left to right in the copter pocket, one of the Cessna copters had a noticeable copter clatter sound that originated when they sent a Cessna over my house to sound like a helicopter. The day after, they sent a helicopter in the clouds that I wasn't able to account for because it was in the clouds, and so that helicopter flew in the 11 p.m. line, and I think it was doing a spotlight headlight cover up, and then so they're going to take that and fabricate it and say that it happened in the past to cover up the incident where the helicopter flew across my roof with the spotlight flashing, which all originated because they were doing some kind of BS cover up on October 30th, pretending to search and then not actually posting it online, which falls back to October 16th when they were pretending, supposedly, I pieced together that they were pretending to look for someone, and then they sent the Cessna copter out, supposedly, even though it was a helicopter, to find the bad guy because it's less conspicuous. And then there was an actual robbery that never occurred on Olivera Street a couple days afterward. So they did that change out at October 30th, where they switched from the helicopter to the Cessna, and ever since they've been trying to mix them up. So that's why that Cessna sounded like that, so that they could take that copter and say that it happened in the past. I'm making this on the November 5th, and on the 4th they did the same thing. They flew a military helicopter with the wheels by that did a turn cover up behind 24191. My phone didn't record it perfectly, so the sound was obvious that it was a military helicopter in comparison to any other copter. So then immediately after, when I was checking my videos to prove that, they sent the police helicopter to do a turn there, and then they sent a UN cover-up copter to do a turn there, and then they're going to take that and they're going to edit the wheels off and then say that it happened in the past. At 10:28 a.m., the police helicopter showed up and started doing circles out behind the two-story house near Geronimo, and where DeSeo Road bends and gets close to Geronimo, out there where the October 30th event occurred, where they switched from the police helicopter to the Cessna. So I got on the roof and I saw the helicopter doing ascension, descension circles and power slides and stalls, and he was trying to sell the 3% grade and go up and down and descend and ascend, and it was really ridiculous. And then he was doing tail waves and tail whips, and that lasted from 10:28 until 10:34, but it was psychotically aggressive. Like, he was hunting someone on the ground. It was so insane. It's how it was always for me, and all of my videos show this too. He's hunting me. He's aggressively attacking me with the helicopter. The nose is pointing down, and he's freaking out. He's a madman, and I can see him through the windshield. And then, so they did that, and I thought that we're going to try to post some fake news and say like there was a fugitive murderer or something, because he was trying to kill him with his eyes and with the helicopter. But then at 10:34, he just turned and left like nothing happened, and just went off towards Geronimo Alicia, like doo-doo-doo, and trying to, like, projecting that it was regular. And it was so insane, like psychotic, and that's how it always was for me. That's why it's pretty messed up when the only proof people are like looking at, like, oh, well, he turned here, or he waved his tail here. How about the fact that he freaked out on my head at 50 feet with the nose down trying to kill me? And so at 10:37, I was still on the roof, and I could hear a second copter somewhere out in the park or behind me. At 12:04, I saw a possible UN cover-up copter. I think it was the small dark blue flimsy helicopter, and it was up by the medical building by Geronimo and Alicia intersection, where they tried to lead me down to go through the intersection past the K9 unit, which nothing ever came of anyways. And so they had been out there for a long time. And then, so this is a theme that I'm going to talk about it for my review of November 4th. But just because they're not at my house, they're doing cover-ups all day long. And then, so actually for the 4th, I know that because after the military helicopter, and I was checking my videos to show that the sound, they sent the police helicopter and then the UN cover-up copter within minutes. That's how nearby they are all day long. So at 12:08, then the police helicopter flew by in the copter pocket. He kind of swooped down from DeSeo, the curvature of the end of DeSeo, slightly from DeSeo intersection, but a little farther out towards like Bonacon and Daphne Road, and he swooped right to left in the copter pocket, and they tried to sell the hill with a little bit of a descent, and also trying to avoid the back of the two-story houses if there's a massive hill. And then shortly after, pretty much immediately after, the UN cover-up copter followed him, and they were doing like ascend descend stupid things on the hill, and then the fake hill, the 5% grade, and then the UN copter did a U-turn when he came up closer to Geronimo Cordillera intersection, and then he headed towards Geronimo Alicia intersection. And so they're just trying to do variations of the day when the UN copter was showing up behind 24191 and then did a turn, the military turn cover up, but the police helicopter had showed up at the same time and then stalled on the fireman's roof like, oh no, and then he did a right turn, a 90-degree cover up. And so they both did 5 cover-ups from 5 different days, and if I had a proper computer, I could tell you each part, September 1st, October 2nd, and so each of them did all of these parts, but they also, supposedly, the reason was that they were coming together and they were going to collide, so they had to do it. But all the other parts are connected, and they're so characteristic, it makes no sense. So was it the situation or the location? So then they've been flying the blue flimsy and the police helicopter around ever since and having personal interactions. And then they purposefully had this one out near me where it's a variation. So this time the UN copter did a U-turn and the police helicopter was nearby, so they had an interaction. And then at 12:30, the police helicopter went left to right in the fake copter pocket across the street, and he ascended. And so he basically covered the length of the grade of my street, so it would be like going from Castilla Oliveira intersection all the way up to Solero Deseo. And so that was most characteristic of the UN copter cover-ups. They had been hitting that line a lot, but now the police copter hits it. And so those are supposedly a civilian and then a policeman, and they all hit the same line. And so he went out over Alicia Park then, and that's to cover up for all the times when I chased him out there. And then after the 24092 fake transformer fire explanation, when the straight dart originated, a lot of times he would try to cover it up and send it and go out in that direction when that was just becoming a thing, when they were trying to make it a regularity. But they did it random and ridiculous, and I used to run up and down the street every night. At 2:07 p.m., the police helicopter flew up the park towards Montevideo Elementary School and was doing every single variation. So if I had a computer and everything organized, I could tell you each piece of it. But he was doing slide ascensions, and then he started to do the dart, and then he did drop descents, and then he did tail waves. And he's just acting like it was a regular thing. At 2:18 p.m., I heard copter sounds behind the 2-story house, so I'm guessing he did his full fake loop around the neighborhood and then came up behind the 2-story house and did a U-turn to sell the height of the tree and to say that that's why the military helicopter had to turn, because there's this treacherous tree and a hill. At 3:59 p.m., I saw in the copter pocket a silhouette that was shaped just like the police helicopter, but it was tuned slightly military copter-like, so I think it possibly was the Super Stallion cover-up for the military helicopters when they started to vary it from the Black Hawk to then the slightly looking Black Hawk, then the Super Stallion, and then eventually these little mini RC helicopters, like I said they would do, and then eventually a kid with a kite. So it flew from Geronimo Montilla, and it seemed like it possibly had the door open, and that's part of the reason why I say it might be the Stallion, because that's how the Stallion copter used to fly around. And so it did a slight military turn cover-up, made a slight left coming from Geronimo Montilla, continued out towards Geronimo Alicia. At 5 p.m., the large blue-white helicopter came from Geronimo Montilla and made a left turn at 24191 and then did descend drops, and it was sailing the hill. It did tail waves, and then it did slight left-right curves to cover up for the straight line dart that the police helicopter originally did. And and the Cessna copter was around the entire day, especially around the 6 o'clock hour. And then at 7:06 p.m., the police helicopter crossed over 24092 and then went down to Deseo with white flashing lights. And then he continued out towards Geronimo Cordillera as if it was his routine route. And they started selling that a lot more after October 30th, going through that area to cover up for the psychotic ascent-descent, crazy stuff on the hill. The Cessna copter was all around after that, and then at 7:17, the police helicopter headed back towards Geronimo and Los Alisos intersection. I saw him way out from the truck, and so that's part of the October 30th cover-up where they send him through that fake line at Geronimo, slightly up from Geronimo Alicia towards Geronimo Cordillera, where the October 30th event happened, and they combine it with the Los Alisos Geronimo intersection where I had recorded him many times, and just they say it's a routine. That's the theme of all of this. This could go on forever. He does damning psychotic stuff, and they say it's routine, and then all they have to do, supposedly, I don't know why this is accepted, but they just fly through that area again and say that, oh, well, when he was flying through his routine area the next time, he dropped dropped his sandwich, or he was receiving a call, or he just wanted to be thorough. That's why he had the nose pointed down. He was at 50 feet of altitude, freaking the hell out.